Commander Lee Taemin walked through the crystal corridors of the Terran Defense Council building. The morning sun shone through the transparent walls, casting rainbow patterns on the polished floor. Outside, the floating city of New Seoul drifted, peacefully among the clouds, its gardens and parks visible through the clear dome that protected it from the wind. Taemin had served as a commander for 20 years, but his job was mostly ceremonial now. The last real conflict had ended 2 centuries ago, when asteroid miners had a dispute over mining rights. Even that had been settled with negotiations and compensation, not weapons. His daily reports were always the same. All systems peaceful, all colonies thriving, no threats detected. The elevator carried him to the top floor where the morning briefing would begin. The other officers were already there, sharing coffee and discussing their weekend plans. Captain Kim Da-hoon, the oldest among them, was telling stories about his grandfather who had fought in the last asteroid conflict. Most of the younger officers listened politely, but Taemin could see they found it hard to believe that humans had ever actually fought each other. "Good morning, everyone," Taemin said as he took his seat. "Let's begin with the colony reports." Lieutenant Park Ji-ho stood up with his tablet. "All 37 colonies report normal operations, sir. The Kepler 442b colony just finished their new university. They're expecting 5,000 new students next year. The Proxima Centauri settlement has completed their ocean restoration project. They say the fish are already returning." Taemin nodded. "Mining operations? All running smoothly. The asteroid belt teams are ahead of schedule on the new space station construction. They expect to finish the habitat ring 6 months early." "Excellent. Any requests for assistance?" The Tau Ceti colony asked for more medical equipment. They're expanding their hospital. And the Wolf 359 settlement wants permission to build a new arts district. This was typical. In 5,000 years of peace, humanity had transformed from a warlike species into builders and creators. Earth itself had become a paradise. The oceans were clean, the air was pure, and the climate was perfectly controlled. Every human settlement in space was designed to be beautiful as well as functional. Taemin was about to dismiss the meeting when his communication device beeped. The sound was unusual. It was the priority alert tone that nobody had heard for decades. "Sir," the voice of the communications officer came through clearly. "We have an urgent message from Dr. Park So-young at the Xenobiology Institute. She says it's extremely important." Within minutes, Dr. Park So-young appeared on the main screen. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking slightly. Behind her, Taemin could see the sophisticated equipment of the Xenobiology Institute, machines that had been built to study alien life forms that had never been found. "Commander," she began, her voice steady despite her obvious nervousness. "We have received a transmission from space. It's not from any human source." The room fell silent. For 5,000 years, humanity had been alone in the universe. They had searched the stars, sent probes to distant galaxies, and listened for any sign of other intelligent life. Nothing had ever been found. "What kind of transmission?" Taemin asked. "It's a message directed specifically at Earth. The source is approximately 12 light-years away, moving toward our solar system at high speed. The signal is incredibly strong, suggesting very advanced technology." Dr. Park touched a control and the message began to play. The voice that came through the speakers was unlike anything any human had ever heard. It was deep and resonant, but there was something cold about it, something that made everyone in the room feel uncomfortable. "People of Earth," the voice said, in perfect human language. "I am Commander Velthak of the Valeth Empire. Your species has expanded beyond your home world without permission. You have colonized star systems that belong to the Valeth by right of conquest." The room was completely silent now. Several officers were leaning forward, straining to hear every word. "The Valeth Empire has ruled this section of the galaxy for over 10,000 years. We have conquered 47 species and absorbed their territories into our domain. You will surrender immediately or face complete destruction." Taemin felt his heart beating faster. The words were clear, but their meaning seemed impossible to accept. "You have exactly 72 hours to respond. You will abandon all colonies outside your solar system and return to your home world. Your spacefaring capabilities will be terminated. You will submit to Valith authority or your species will be eliminated. The message ended with a series of coordinates and technical specifications that Dr. Park explained were instructions for humanity's surrender. Captain Kim Da-hoon was the first to speak. This has to be some kind of joke. Aliens? After 5,000 years of peace? I've checked the signal multiple times, Dr. Park replied. It's definitely from outside our solar system. The technology required to send such a clear message across 12 light years is far beyond our current capabilities. Taemin stood up slowly. His mind was racing, trying to process what he had just heard. How long until they arrive? Based on the signal origin and strength, I estimate they're traveling at approximately half the speed of light. If they maintain that speed, they'll reach the outer colonies in about 18 months. 18 months to prepare for war, Taemin said quietly, against an enemy that has conquered 47 other species. Lieutenant Park Ji-ho raised his hand. Sir, what exactly is our military capability? I mean, our actual fighting capability? It was a question that nobody wanted to answer. Humanity had 400 active defense ships, designed mainly for rescue operations and asteroid deflection. They had never been tested in actual combat. The weapon systems were primarily tools for mining and construction, not warfare. Captain Kim Da-hoon cleared his throat. We have the orbital defense platforms around Earth and the major colonies, but they're designed to stop asteroids, not enemy ships. Dr. Park was working at her console, bringing up displays of data. According to the transmission, the Valith have been conquering species for 10,000 years. They must have incredible military experience and technology. Taemin looked around the room at the faces of his officers. These were good people, dedicated to peace and progress. None of them had ever imagined they would have to fight for humanity's survival. We need to contact the Colonial Assembly immediately, he said. Every governor, every settlement leader, every ship captain needs to know what we're facing. What are we going to tell them? Lieutenant Park asked. Taemin walked to the window and looked out at the peaceful city floating in the clouds below. Children were playing in the parks, artists were working on sculptures, and families were enjoying the beautiful day. In just over a year, all of this might be gone. We're going to tell them the truth, he said finally. After 5,000 years of peace, humanity is going to war. The emergency assembly hall on Luna Station was packed with representatives from every human colony. Admiral Yang Hye-jin stood at the podium, her face grim as she presented the latest intelligence reports. Behind her, massive holographic displays showed the approaching alien fleet. The Valith Armada consists of over 10,000 ships, she announced. Our long-range sensors detected them 2 days ago as they entered the outer edge of human space. Each of their vessels is at least 3 times larger than our biggest defense ship. Engineer Choi Min-ho sat in the front row, his tablet filled with technical specifications he had been analyzing for hours. The alien ships were unlike anything humanity had ever built. They appeared to be grown rather than constructed, with organic curves and surfaces that seemed to pulse with their own light. What about their weapons? Asked Governor Lee from the Proxima Centauri colony. Admiral Yang touched a control and the display changed to show detailed scans of the alien ships. Their energy signatures are enormous. We estimate each major vessel has firepower equivalent to our entire Luna defense grid. Captain Kim Da-hoon raised his hand. What are our options for evacuation? We have enough transport ships to move maybe 10% of our colonial population back to Earth, Admiral Yang replied. But Earth itself would be defenseless if the Ito aliens decide to attack our homeworld. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems, but they had done so as explorers and builders, not as conquerors. Their ships were designed for carrying families and supplies, not for fighting wars. Dr. Park So-young stood up from her seat near the back of the room. I've been studying the alien transmission signal. There's something important we need to understand about their technology. She walked to the front and connected her tablet to the main display. The Valith ships use a form of biological technology. Their hulls are grown, not built. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based, similar to what we use for industrial purposes, but much more powerful. Engineer Choi Min-ho looked up from his tablet. That might actually give us some information we can use. Our mining and construction equipment uses similar energy systems, just not as weapons. What do you mean? Admiral Yang asked. Choi Min-ho stood and pointed to the technical displays. Our asteroid mining ships use fusion-powered plasma cutters that can slice through solid rock. Our construction vessels have industrial lasers that can weld metal in the vacuum of space. We've been using these tools for peaceful purposes, but the basic technology is the same. Captain Kim Da-hoon nodded, slowly. You're suggesting we convert civilian ships into warships? Not convert, Choi Min-ho replied. Adapt. A mining ship with a plasma cutter is already armed. We just need to think of it differently. The first alien ships arrived at Kepler 442b colony exactly 18 months after the initial warning. The colony had been evacuated, but Admiral Yang had positioned a small defense fleet in orbit around the planet to observe the alien capabilities. Captain Seo Min-jae commanded the defense flotilla from his ship, the Harmony. It was one of humanity's newest vessels, designed for deep space exploration but equipped with the standard defense systems. Around him, 12 other ships waited in formation. Alien vessels detected, reported Lieutenant Kim Yoon-woo from the sensor station. Distance 2 million kilometers and closing. On the main screen, the Valeth ships appeared like a swarm of dark insects against the stars. There were over 200 of them, each one larger than the biggest human vessel. They moved with a fluid grace that was both beautiful and terrifying. They're not responding to our communication attempts, Lieutenant Kim reported. Captain Seo watched as the alien fleet approached. The Valeth ships began to spread out, surrounding the human position with practiced efficiency. It was clear they had done this many times before. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Kim announced. The main screen changed to show an alien face. The creature had pale skin and large eyes that seemed to glow with their own light. When it spoke, its voice was the same cold tone they had heard in the original warning message. Human vessels, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. This system now belongs to the Valeth Empire. Your resistance is futile. Captain Seo activated the communication system. This is Captain Seo Min-jae of the Terran Defense Force. We are prepared to negotiate a peaceful resolution. The alien's expression did not change. There is no negotiation. Submit or be destroyed. The transmission ended abruptly. Seconds later, the alien ships began firing. The Valeth weapons were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the alien vessels, striking the human ships with devastating accuracy. The first hit destroyed the exploration vessel Discovery in a burst of brilliant light. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Captain Seo ordered. Return fire with everything we have. The human ships scattered, trying to avoid the alien weapons while fighting back with their own defense systems. The battle was hopelessly one-sided. Human weapons barely scratched the alien hulls, while each Valeth shot could destroy or cripple a human vessel. But something unexpected happened. The mining ship, Prosperity, commanded by Captain Park Hyun-woo, managed to get close to an alien cruiser. The ship's plasma mining equipment, designed to cut through asteroids, struck the alien vessel's hull. The alien ship's organic armor began to burn and bubble where the plasma hit it. The damage was significant, much more than the conventional weapons had achieved. All ships, this is Captain Park, came the voice over the communication system. The mining plasma works. Target their hulls with industrial equipment. Captain Seo immediately understood. All vessels with mining or construction equipment, focus your tools on the alien ships. Use everything you have. The battle began to change. While the aliens still had overwhelming firepower, the human ships were now causing real damage. The construction shipbuilder used its welding lasers to slice through an alien fighter. The mining vessel Excavator destroyed an alien escort with its rock-cutting plasma beam. But the victory was short-lived. The alien fleet was simply too large and too powerful. One by one, the human ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. Of The 13 vessels that had started the battle, only 4 escaped. Captain Seo's ship was among the survivors, but it was badly damaged. As they limped back toward Earth, he sent an urgent message to Admiral Yang. "The good news is we can hurt them," he reported. "Our industrial equipment is effective against their organic hulls. The bad news is we're still outnumbered 25-1. Back on Luna Station, Engineer Choi Min-ho was already working on modifications to the human fleet. The battle at Kepler 442b had provided valuable information about both alien weaknesses and human capabilities. We need to think like miners and builders, not like traditional soldiers," he explained to Admiral Yang. "Our strength isn't in military weapons. It's in the tools we've developed for space construction and resource extraction." Dr. Park So-young joined the discussion. "The alien hulls are biological. They can be damaged by the same tools we use to process organic materials. Our food processing equipment might even be effective." Admiral Yang looked at the reports from the battle. Humanity had lost its first engagement with the aliens, but they had learned something crucial. The peaceful tools of human civilization could become weapons of war. "How long do we have before they reach the next colony?" she asked. "Based on their current speed, about 3 weeks," Captain Kim Da-hoon replied. "Then we have 3 weeks to turn every mining ship, construction vessel, and transport into a fighting machine," Admiral Yang decided. "It's time to show the Valith what humans can do when they're fighting for their survival." The war for humanity's future had begun, and, despite the overwhelming odds, there was a glimmer of hope in the darkness. 3 weeks after the battle at Kepler 442b, the human colonies had transformed. Ships that once carried families and supplies now bristled with makeshift weapons. The peaceful mining vessels looked like metal predators, their plasma cutters, repositioned to face forward like the fangs of some space-borne beast. Captain Kim Da-hoon stood in the command center of the converted cargo hauler Determination. Around him, screens showed the positions of over 3,000 human vessels spread throughout the Wolf 359 system. These were not military ships. They were miners, builders, transporters, and research vessels, all commanded by civilians who had volunteered to fight. "Status report," Kim Da-hoon called out. Lieutenant Cho Soo-bin, a former cargo pilot who had never fired a weapon in her life, checked her displays. "All mining groups are in position. Construction teams have finished setting up the trap zones. Transport vessels are ready to begin the swarm attack." Kim Da-hoon nodded. Over the past 3 weeks, he had developed what the human command was calling the swarm protocol. Instead of fighting the aliens ship to ship like a traditional military, humanity would attack like a cloud of angry insects, using their superior numbers of small vessels to overwhelm the larger alien ships. "Remember, everyone," he announced, over the general communication channel, "we're not trying to win a fair fight. We're trying to survive. Use every advantage we have." The Valith fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 250 alien vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Wolf 359 system. They moved in perfect formation, just as they had at Kepler 442b, but this time, the humans were ready. "Begin Phase 1, Kim Da-hoon ordered. From behind the largest asteroid in the system, 50 mining ships emerged. These vessels, led by Captain Lee Soo-bin, had been modified with additional armor plating salvaged from construction equipment. Their plasma mining tools had been upgraded with power cells designed for industrial fusion reactors. The alien fleet immediately moved to intercept them, just as Kim Da-hoon had hoped. The Valith ships accelerated toward the mining vessels, their organic hulls pulsing with stored energy. "Phase 2. Execute," Kim Da-hoon commanded. From 3 different directions, waves of smaller human ships appeared. These were maintenance pods, cargo shuttles, and personal transports, all equipped with welding torches, cutting lasers, and industrial saws. There were over 1,000 of them, moving in coordinated groups like schools of fish. The alien commander had clearly never faced anything like this before. The Valith ships tried to target the larger mining vessels while ignoring the smaller craft, but there were simply too many human ships to track. Captain Lee Soo-bin led her mining squadron directly toward the largest alien vessel. "All ships, focus fire on the command ship. Use the plasma cutters at maximum power," 12 mining vessels unleashed their plasma streams simultaneously. The alien ship's organic hull began to burn and crack under the concentrated heat. Biomechanical fluids leaked from the wounds, creating clouds of glowing vapor around the damaged areas. Meanwhile, the swarm of smaller human ships reached the alien fleet. Maintenance worker Park Jin-ho, flying a converted repair pod, managed to attach his ship directly to an alien fighter. He used his hull-cutting torch to slice through the enemy vessel's armor while it spun wildly, trying to shake him off. "This is actually working," Lieutenant Cho Subin reported with amazement in her voice. "The small ships are too fast and numerous for their targeting systems." But Kim Da-hoon knew the real test was still coming. Begin Phase 3. Release the construction drones. This was his most desperate gamble. Humanity had thousands of automated construction drones designed to build space stations and orbital platforms. Each drone was equipped with tools for cutting, welding, and assembling metal structures. Kim Da-hoon had programmed them to treat the alien ships as construction projects that needed to be taken apart. The drones swarmed over the alien vessels like mechanical ants. They were too small for the alien weapons to target effectively, but their cutting tools could damage the organic hulls. Soon, dozens of alien ships were covered with tiny machines that were slowly but methodically dismantling them. The alien fleet began to retreat, but Kim Da-hoon had prepared for this too. Phase 4. Cargo net deployment. The transport ships moved into position and released their modified cargo nets. These enormous nets, originally designed to capture asteroids for mining, had been reinforced with metal cables and equipped with electromagnetic anchors. They spread out between the alien ships and their escape route. Several alien vessels flew directly into the nets and became entangled. Their organic hulls were designed for smooth flight through space, not for breaking free from industrial restraints. The trapped ships were quickly overwhelmed by swarms of human drones and small craft. Commander Velthak of the Valith appeared on the human communication channels. His pale face showed something that looked like confusion and anger. "What manner of warfare is this?" he demanded. "You fight without honor, without formation, without proper military structure." Kim Da-hoon activated his own communication system. "We fight to survive. Your people have conquered 47 species using traditional military tactics. We're not going to make the same mistakes they did." "This is chaos, not warfare," the alien commander replied. "This is the human way of war," Kim Da-hoon answered. The battle continued for 6 more hours. The alien fleet, which had expected to face organized military resistance, found themselves fighting thousands of individual human vessels, each one using tools and tactics they had never encountered. Mining ships used their plasma cutters like swords. Construction vessels employed their welding equipment like shields. Transport ships rammed alien fighters while cargo shuttles attached themselves to larger vessels and began cutting them apart from the inside. By the end of the engagement, the human fleet had destroyed 63 alien ships and captured 12 more. The remaining Valith vessels retreated to the edge of the system, clearly shaken by their encounter with human tactics. Commander Kang Woo-jin, who had been analyzing the battle from the command ship, made an important observation. The aliens fight in rigid formations. They expect their enemies to do the same. When we attack from multiple directions with different types of ships, their command structure breaks down. Kim Da-hoon studied the retreating alien fleet. They're used to conquering species that fight like armies. We're fighting like civilians, who happen to have tools. Dr. Park So-young joined the communication from her research ship. "I've been studying the captured alien vessels. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's designed for their type of warfare. They have powerful shields that can stop directed energy weapons, but they're vulnerable to physical cutting tools. More importantly," added engineer Choi Min-ho from his mobile workshop, "their ships are grown, not built. They can't easily repair battle damage the way we can. Every ship we damage stays damaged." As the human fleet regrouped, Kim Da-hoon realized they had achieved something remarkable. For the first time in their 10,000-year history of conquest, the Valith Empire had been defeated in battle. "All ships, return to base for repairs and resupply," he ordered. "But stay ready. They'll be back, and next time they'll be prepared for our tactics. Captain Lee Subin's voice came over the communication system. What do we do then? Kim Da-hoon smiled grimly. Then we come up with new tactics. The one advantage we have over an empire that's been using the same strategy for 10,000 years is that we're still learning how to fight. The second battle of the war was over, and humanity had won. But Kim Da-hoon knew the real test would come when the aliens adapted to human tactics. The question was whether humanity could adapt faster than an empire with 10 millennia of military experience. 6 months after the victory at Wolf 359, the main Valith war fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Yang Hyejin watched from the command center on Luna Station as her sensors detected over 3,000 alien vessels approaching Earth. This was not another scouting force or colonial attack fleet. This was the full military might of the Valith Empire, come to end the human rebellion once and for all. They're not making the same mistakes this time, reported Captain Kang Woo-jin from his intelligence station. Look at their formation. They're spreading out, using smaller groups instead of tight formations. They learned from our previous attacks. Admiral Yang studied the tactical display. The alien fleet was approaching from multiple directions, making it impossible to use the same swarm tactics that had worked before. Worse, they had brought ships she had never seen before, massive vessels that dwarfed even their largest previous craft. What are those giant ships? She asked. Dr. Park So-young answered from her research console. Planet crackers. Ships designed to destroy entire worlds. If we lose this battle, they won't just conquer Earth. They'll break it apart and use the pieces for raw materials. Engineer Choi Min-ho appeared on the communication screen from his position near Mercury. For the past 6 months, he had been working on humanity's most desperate project. Admiral, the Sol cannon is ready for testing. But I need to warn you, we've never fired anything this powerful before. What exactly are we dealing with? Admiral Yang asked. Choi Min-ho's image showed the massive construction that now surrounded the planet Mercury. We've built a weapon system that uses Mercury's core as a power source. It channels solar plasma from the sun itself and focuses it into a directed energy beam. The theoretical power output is equivalent to a supernova. Theoretical? Captain, Kang Woo-jin asked. We couldn't exactly test it without destroying something important, Choi Min-ho replied. But the calculations all check out. Admiral Yang looked at the approaching alien fleet. Humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this moment. Every asteroid in the belt had been equipped with rocket engines. Every piece of space debris had been turned into a potential weapon. The entire solar system had become a fortress. All stations. This is Admiral Yang. Begin Operation Solar Storm. Commander Lee Tae-min led the first wave of defense from his flagship, the Defiance. Around him, 500 human vessels moved to intercept the alien advance guard. These ships were different from the converted civilian craft they had used before. They were purpose-built warships, created by combining human industrial technology with lessons learned from previous battles. Target the lead alien vessels, he ordered. Use the new plasma lance weapons. The human ships opened fire with weapons that combined mining plasma technology with solar collection systems. Each shot drew power directly from the sun through a network of orbital collectors, making the weapons far more powerful than anything humanity had built before. The alien ships returned fire with their own weapons, but something had changed. The human vessels had been equipped with armor, made from processed asteroid metal and powered by fusion reactors. They could take hits that would have destroyed earlier human ships. But the real surprise came when the aliens tried to break through the human lines. Captain Kim Da-hoon activated the asteroid field protocol. All mining ships begin asteroid bombardment, he announced. Thousands of asteroids, each one equipped with engines and guidance systems, began moving toward the alien fleet. The asteroids had been hollowed out and filled with human construction equipment set to activate on impact. When they struck the alien ships, they would deploy cutting tools and welding equipment to damage the vessels from the inside. The alien commander tried to destroy the incoming asteroids, but there were too many of them. The organic ships of the Valith fleet were soon being pelted by rocks that exploded into clouds of mechanical debris designed to tear apart their hulls. "This is impossible," came a transmission from the alien flagship. No species fights by throwing entire asteroid fields at their enemies. We're not like other species, Commander Lee Taman replied. We build things, including weapons you've never imagined. The battle was far from over. The alien planet crackers began charging their main weapons, preparing to destroy Earth from long range. These massive ships were protected by energy shields that could deflect any conventional weapon. That was when engineer Choi Min-ho activated the Sol cannon. The weapon fired a beam of concentrated solar plasma that stretched across the solar system like a spear of pure light. When it struck the first planet cracker, the alien ship simply vanished in a burst of energy that could be seen from Earth's surface. Direct hit, Choi Min-ho reported. The Sol cannon is functioning perfectly, recharging for second shot. But the aliens adapted quickly. The remaining planet crackers began moving erratically, making it difficult to target them with the massive solar weapon. They also launched thousands of smaller fighters to attack the Sol cannon's control systems. Captain Lee Subin commanded a squadron of human fighters equipped with construction mechs, massive robotic suits originally designed for building space stations. She led her team directly into the swarm of alien fighters. All units, remember your training, she called out. These mechs weren't built for fighting, but they're tough enough to handle zero-gravity construction. Use your cutting tools and welding torches. The battle that followed was unlike anything in military history. Human pilots and construction mechs fought alien fighters using industrial tools as weapons. Welding torches became flamethrowers. Cutting saws became swords. Heavy lifting equipment became shields. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but they had never fought enemies willing to engage in close combat in the vacuum of space. Their fighters were designed for long-range energy combat, not for physical confrontation with opponents using construction tools. Captain Lee Subin managed to attach her mech to the hull of a planet cracker. Using her industrial cutting equipment, she began slicing through the alien ship's organic armor. Other human pilots followed her example, turning the massive alien vessels into construction sites where they dismantled their enemies piece by piece. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Velthak watched his fleet being torn apart by weapons and tactics he had never encountered in 10,000 years of conquest. How are they doing this? He demanded of his tactical officers. They're using construction equipment as weapons. They're throwing asteroids like rocks. They're fighting our ships with mechanical suits designed for building space stations. Sir, they don't fight like a military, one of his officers replied. They fight like engineers and builders who happen to be angry. Velthak realized he was facing something unprecedented in Valeth history. Every other species his empire had conquered had tried to fight them using conventional military tactics. The humans were fighting them using the tools of civilization itself. All ships fall back to the outer system, he ordered. We need to reassess our strategy. But it was too late. The Sol cannon fired again, destroying another planet cracker. The asteroid bombardment was tearing apart the alien support vessels. Human construction mechs were physically dismantling alien fighters in hand-to-hand combat in space. For the first time in the history of the Valeth Empire, a conquest fleet was retreating in defeat from a species they had come to destroy. Admiral Yang watched from Luna Station as the alien fleet withdrew beyond the orbit of Pluto. The solar system belonged to humanity, defended not by traditional military might, but by the tools and determination of a species that refused to surrender. All ships, maintain defensive positions, she ordered. This battle is won, but the war isn't over yet. Commander Lee Taman's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, we've captured several alien officers from the damaged ships. Dr. Park wants to interrogate them. Approved, Admiral Yang replied. It's time we learned more about our enemies, and time we showed them what humanity is really capable of. The tide of the war had turned, but the final victory still lay ahead. 3 days after the Great Battle, Commander Velthak of the Valeth Empire sat in a holding cell aboard the human space station Luna Base. His pale skin looked even more ghostly under the artificial lights, and his large eyes showed something that Dr. Park So-young had never seen in the alien transmissions before. Fear. You have destroyed the greatest conquest fleet in Valeth history, he said quietly as Dr. Park entered the interrogation room. In 10,000 years of expansion, no species has ever defeated us so completely. Dr. Park sat down across from him, her tablet ready to record everything. Why did you attack us? We never threatened your empire. Velthak looked at her with confusion. You expanded beyond your home world without seeking permission from the Vilith. That is always considered an act of rebellion against our authority. But we didn't even know you existed, Dr. Park replied. We've been alone in space for thousands of years. Ignorance is not an excuse, the alien commander said. The Vilith Empire has ruled this galaxy since before your species learned to build fire. Every intelligent race must submit to our control, or be eliminated. Dr. Park studied his face carefully. How many species have you conquered? 47 civilizations have joined the Empire. Most surrendered after seeing our military power. A few tried to resist. Velthak paused. Until now, resistance always ended the same way. Complete destruction of the rebellious species. What made our resistance different? Velthak was quiet for a long moment. You fight like no military force we have ever encountered. You use construction tools as weapons. You turn entire asteroid belts into bombardment systems. You attach your industrial machines directly to our ships and cut them apart piece by piece. He leaned forward slightly. Most species try to match our military technology. They build warships to fight our warships. They develop energy weapons to counter our energy weapons. They fight the way we expect them to fight. And we didn't do that. You fought like builders who were angry that someone was trying to destroy what you had built, Velthak said. Every ship in your fleet was designed for creation, not destruction. But you made them into weapons anyway. Dr. Park made notes on her tablet. This information was crucial for understanding both the aliens and humanity's unexpected advantage. Meanwhile, in the command center, Admiral Yang Hyejin was coordinating with human colonies throughout the galaxy. The defeat of the Vilith conquest fleet had sent shockwaves across the Empire, and something unexpected was happening. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from alien species throughout Vilith space, reported Lieutenant Park Ji-ho. They're asking for help. Captain Kim Da-hoon, who had been promoted to Grand Admiral after the victory, joined the discussion. What kind of help? They want to rebel against the Vilith Empire. Apparently, news of our victory has spread to the conquered worlds. Several species are asking if humanity will support their independence movements. Admiral Yang looked at the star maps showing Vilith territory. How many species are we talking about? At least 20 so far. The messages are still coming in. This was something nobody had expected. Humanity had fought to defend their own colonies, not to liberate other species. But the victory over the Vilith had apparently inspired rebellions. Across the galaxy, Engineer Choi Min-ho appeared on the communication screen from his workshop near Mars. Admiral, I've been analyzing the captured Vilith technology. Their ships and weapons are incredibly advanced, but they have a major weakness. What kind of weakness? They can't adapt quickly. Their technology is biological, which means it evolves slowly over thousands of years. Our mechanical technology can be modified and improved in weeks or months. That explains why they've been using the same tactics for 10,000 years, Captain Kim Da-hoon observed. They never needed to change because nobody ever forced them to. Commander Lee Tae-min joined the discussion from his ship, which was patrolling the outer solar system. We've captured enough alien vessels to study their faster-than-light travel systems. If we can adapt their technology to our ships, we could reach any part of the galaxy. Admiral Yang realized that humanity was facing a choice that would determine the future of the galaxy. They could use their victory to ensure Earth's safety and return to their peaceful existence. Or they could help other species break free from Vilith control. What does Earth's government say about this? She asked. Lieutenant Park checked his communications. The Colonial Assembly is meeting now, but early reports suggest they support helping the other species. The vote isn't even close. 1 week later, the first human liberation fleet departed from Earth. Captain Lee Subin commanded a squadron of modified construction ships equipped with the latest adaptations of human industrial technology. Their destination was the Altair system, where a species called the Keth had declared independence from the Velith Empire. The Keth had been conquered 3,000 years ago. Their homeworld had been turned into a mining colony, and their people had been forced to work in Velith factories. But when they learned that humanity had defeated the Empire's greatest fleet, they had risen in rebellion. "This is Captain Lee Su-bin of the Human Liberation Fleet," she announced as her ships arrived in the Altair system. "We're here to help." The response came from a Keth leader whose voice was filled with emotion. "We never thought we would see freedom again. The Velith told us that resistance was impossible, that no species had ever defeated their military." "Well, now you know they were wrong," Captain Lee replied. "Let's show them what happens when people fight for their freedom." The battle for Altair lasted only 6 hours. The Velith garrison, expecting to face primitive rebels, instead encountered human ships using advanced industrial weapons and tactics they had never seen before. The liberation of the Keth homeworld became the first of many victories in what historians would later call the Galaxy War. Dr. Park So-young continued her interviews with captured Velith officers, learning more about the Empire's structure and weaknesses. What she discovered changed everything. "The Velith Empire isn't just a military force," she explained to the Leadership Council. "It's a rigid hierarchy that has never been challenged. The Emperor and his commanders have ruled for so long that they've forgotten how to adapt to new situations. That explains their tactical inflexibility," Admiral Yang observed. "More than that," Dr. Park continued. "Their entire society is based on the idea that they are naturally superior to all other species. Our victory has shaken their fundamental beliefs about themselves and their place in the galaxy." Over the following months, human fleets worked with rebel forces to liberate system after system. Each victory inspired more rebellions, and each rebellion weakened the Velith Empire's control over the galaxy. The war ended not with a great final battle, but with the collapse of the Empire itself. As more species gained their freedom, the Velith found themselves ruling over empty space. Their emperor, faced with the complete breakdown of his 10,000-year-old system of control, finally agreed to negotiate. Commander Lee Tae-min, now promoted to general, represented humanity at the peace negotiations on the neutral world of Kepler 452b. Across the table sat representatives from 47 different species, all of them formerly conquered peoples of the Velith Empire. "The Empire agrees to abandon all claims of authority over other species," announced the Velith negotiator. "In return, we ask only for the right to return to our homeworld and live in peace." General Lee looked around the table at the representatives of dozens of species that had won their freedom. "The galaxy is big enough for everyone to live in peace, but if any species tries to conquer others again, they'll have to face all of us working together." 1 year after the war ended, Engineer Choi Min-ho stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Cooperation Station, built in orbit around Earth. Through the transparent walls, he could see ships from dozens of different species working together to construct new space habitats and research facilities. "It's hard to believe this all started because aliens told us we couldn't explore space," he said to Captain Lee Su-bin, who had joined him to watch the construction work. "Maybe that's the point," she replied. "We're explorers and builders. When someone tries to stop us from exploring and building, we find ways to keep doing it anyway." In her final report on the war, Dr. Park So-young wrote, "Humanity's greatest strength was not our weapons or our tactics, but our refusal to accept that peace and freedom were impossible. We fought not to conquer, but to preserve the right of all species to build their own futures. The galaxy had been transformed from an empire of conquest into a community of cooperation. And at the center of it all was a species that had turned 5,000 years of peace into the foundation for a freedom that would last forever. The age of the Velith Empire was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun.